Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Anyextee and this is Living in Luxor. So today I'll be taking you along for the journey as we traverse up El Kabash Road, which is more popularly known as the Avenue of the Sphinxes. So I'm just walking through the village of Adept here in Luxor where I live, and today I'm off on this adventure that I'm going to be taking you along for. We are going to walk and make our way down to Ramlah, which is on the west bank of the Nile. From Ramlah, we're going to take a ferry from the port across the River Nile to Luxor Temple. And from there, I'm going to find out a bit more about the Avenue of the Sphinxes. Now, I've been on the Avenue of the Sphinxes before. My first time nearly a decade ago with John Anthony West, but I've only made it up a portion of the way from the Luxor Temple. Really not that far. Just a little bit of the way, as John used to have this thematic conceptual approach to the Luxor Temple where you would get off the bus. John Anthony West, symbolist author. If you're watching this channel, you're probably already familiar with him. He was my mentor. But what he would do during his study tours is have Zayek, hello. He would have you essentially get off the bus and keep your head down and look to the right, keeping the temple at your back so you don't see the Luxor Temple. Of course, we'd visit at night to see the spectacular lighting. And then you would proceed and walk up the Avenue of the Sphinxes just a bit, maybe 5 minutes or so. Then he would have you turn around and walk quietly, slowly, ceremonially through the Avenue of the Sphinxes, which really produces a hypnotic, trance-like, it really evokes a certain meditative state when you're walking, you know, through all these repetitive images, which is something that we also see common throughout Asia with art at ancient sites. And so it's really something spectacular when you're walking down the avenue and then you're finally confronted with the Luxor Temple, the enormous pylons and statuary that is in the forecourt of Nectanebo.
Even where we go in fact, you can still get something of the hit. Don't look at the facade of the temple.
Don't look left.
Yeah, don't look left. Look straight ahead or right. And then silently, ceremonially, slowly walk to the end, where, you know, right where we are now, to the end of the, where you can't walk any further. And then turn and again, walk slowly, ceremonially. It really, you get a sense as you walk by, or you can get a sense as you walk past the Sphinxes. If it's just the right speed, it sort of has a throb to it, a kind of beat, almost like being in those sound chambers of the at Saqqara. It has a feel to it. It's quite, that can be pretty powerful. Not everybody feels it, but don't feel hurt and not rejected. But if you don't feel it. The group would just walk straight ahead, don't look at the temple, go straight ahead, and you'll see where the light is there, the Avenue of the Sphinxes, and like I said, slowly, ceremonially, silently,
without looking,
take a right, go to the end, turn around, come back again, slowly, silently.
And so, a couple of kids here on a motorbike. Hello, Zach! And so, it's really something to behold. It's something spectacular.
Welcome, my friend.
Shukran.
Day today?
Yeah.
Welcome.
So just gonna pull the boat in now because of the water to create a little walkway so I can get on the boat.
Bob
and then
Marley
we'll
boat.
head the Bob Marley boat, and we'll head right over to the Luxor Temple. So we just came off the ferry. I'm now on the east bank of the River Nile, and you can see Luxor Temple is right there. We're gonna make our way to the Luxor Temple where we'll purchase tickets and begin to traverse the Avenue of Sphinxes. Okay, so I just got my ticket to the Luxor Temple. You can see it's 160 Egyptian LE. Little more than I wanted to see in terms of tourism. There's a lot of people here. I wasn't expecting so many to be here this early in the morning during Ramadan. But we are now going to proceed to walk up the Avenue of the Sphinxes. What I was told is that you only need this ticket to walk the length from here to Karnak. But once I get to Karnak, I'll have to purchase a second ticket to enter inside Karnak. So, let us get started with our journey, shall we? So this here is part of my mission for today. You can see there's 3 different Sphinxes. This is new signage that they just recently installed within the last month. But it shows you the Andro-Sphinx, which is the body of the lion with the human head. Then we have the Creo-Sphinx, which is the Sphinx or lion body with the ram head. And then we have the Ram Sphinx, which is the entire ram body with ram head. This is what I'm going to be looking for on my way to Karnak. Over here, again, new signage that they just installed in the last month. And you have all of those who played a role in the Avenue of the Sphinxes, from Queen Hatshepsut to Amenhotep III, to Tutankhamun, to Ramses II, Pinigi, and Nectanebo, or Nectanebo, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Each of these pharaohs played a significant role in contributing in one way or another to the Avenue of the Sphinx. You can see that these are the Andro-Sphinxes, which have the body of the lion with the head of the man. Who is this? What is the identity of the face? Many people will say Amenhotep III. However, it is believed that these were installed by Nectanebo, again, or Nectanebo. And so I wonder, is this actually the face of Amenhotep III, or is this Nectanebo? I don't know with certainty. I'm still trying to sort out that last detail before publishing my book and see what I could find in the academic literature. But everything I've read so far, what I've learned from my mentor, John Anthony West, is that it is the face of Amenhotep III. But I don't know. I think it could also be Nectanebo. It's hard to say. Of course, there's cartouches. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to give a brief hieroglyphic lesson here for my viewers. I've recently been studying the Middle Egyptian hieroglyphic language under a PhD degree professor of Egyptology, and I just thought I'd share some of this knowledge with you and give some meaning to what we're looking at here. So if you are not already familiar, these 2 oval shapes with a line at the end are what are called cartouches. They indicate that the text, the inscription, enclosed as a royal name. Now, the king had 5 different names. These are 2 of those. This is the throne name and the birth name. And hieroglyphics can be read sometimes left to right, more frequently right to left, top to bottom, but never bottom to top. So how do we know where to start? We always read into the direction of the face. So in this case, the face of the pin-tailed duck is looking to the left, just as the Sphinx over here is also facing the left. Therefore, we will read from left to right, reading into the faces. With the throne name, we can see the sign for the sun god, which may be pronounced either Re or Ra. And then we have the Kepher beetle and these 2 outstretched arms here, which is a sign for the Ka, one of the 9 aspects of the soul. For the ancient Egyptians, this principle represented the life force or spiritual double of a person. And so if we are reading from left to right, it would be Ra or Re, Kepher, Ka. But not in this case, because of a convention that Egyptologists call honorific transposition. The ancient Egyptians honored the god, so they paid homage to the principle by putting its name first, but we pronounce it last. So we start with Kepher Ka Ra, or Re. So it could be Kepher Kare or Kepher Kara, however you want to pronounce Re or Ra. Keferkara or Keferkare means the soul of Re or Ra abides. Keferkara is a title that this king actually took from Sesostris I. It's another convention that Egyptologists call archaizing. It's sort of a way of rewriting the past or paying homage to it. And now we come to the birth name. You can see here we have a pin-tailed duck in the image of the sun. It's followed by another cartouche, which encloses the inscription of the birth name, which is not always, but most often preceded by Sare or Sarah, or the son of Re, meaning the son of the sun god. Now, this particular king's birth name is actually Nakht en Nebef, meaning strong in his lord. But he is most commonly referred to as Nakhtenebu, which is really just a Greek corruption. It was the name given to him by the Greeks because they probably couldn't pronounce Nakhthenebef for some reason. And so you can see here in the cartouche, we have Nakht, that's comprised of the water sign, N, which is pronounced N. It's the consonant for the pronunciation of N. Then we have this wooden branch, and then what's called a third H. The circle here is a third H. It represents a guttural sound like k. And then you have here the bread loaf, pronounced t. And then we have the Sphinx image for nib, meaning image. And finally, we have the horned viper for F. So again, it's Nakhthenebef. But Egyptology commonly refers to him by the Greek name Nakhtenebu. So one more time, reading from left to right with the first cartouche, we have Keferkara, son of Ra, Nakhtenebu. This is the two cartouches, the royal name and the birth name, the inscription that we find here on this Sphinx. But the inscriptions are not always a true attest of when the stone was fashioned, and what we're trying to figure out is the actual face. All this new signage in the back explains the discovery of the Avenue of the Sphinx, and then over here you have some new signage, which is again a new installment to coincide with the opening of the Avenue of the Sphinx. And this signage is explaining the Opet Festival, the procession that began at Karnak all the way down there, and would originally the procession would come all along here on foot to the Luxor Temple. Although over time it changed. It would actually return by boat going up the Nile River over here. But in time it actually changed, and the statues would be carried along on the water, and then they would come in, not through the main, right through the central pylon here, but on the side there's another opening. And then over here on the other side is the Dwa Rekit, or the portal or gate where the commoners would adore and be able to watch the procession from outside the temple, as they were not allowed inside the temple. So the procession would go in through the side, not through the center. And then it would return and go back by boat. But all along the path here, there would still be a procession on foot as the statues were carried along on the water. So you'll see an example of what the shrine looks like here as we get closer. You'll see an example of what they would have had to carry as we get closer up over here. And then I think there's a cafe just to the left. But let us now proceed to walk the entire length of the Avenue of the Sphinx from Luxor to Karnak. I am back at the house now after a rather long journey, and I did manage to get some answers to the questions I had relating to my research, But it would seem as though the more answers we get, the more new questions tend to present themselves, as I came across a rather interesting new mystery on the Avenue of the Sphinxes, which will be the subject for a future video here on this channel, likely on my Adept Expeditions playlist. Now, I did walk the entire length of the Avenue of the Sphinxes from Luxor to Karnak, my very first time exploring. I took my time along the way looking at everything in detail. The raw footage is well over an hour long, and I did not want to include it as part of this vlog for the sake of brevity. But if you do want to watch the entire journey from Luxor to Karnak and travel the Avenue of the Sphinx with me, you'll have that opportunity, as I will be uploading the entire video to this YouTube channel in the near future. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Click the bell icon so you can receive the update. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, share with a friend. Until next time, I'm Anyextee, and this is Living in Luxor.